the Celestial Vanguard, Earth's phantom supercarrier. The Galactic Empire, a behemoth of interstellar domination, had spread its iron grip across countless star systems. Species fell before its might, their civilizations assimilated or annihilated. The Empire's fleet, an endless armada of dreadnoughts, cruisers, and strike craft, was an unstoppable force. No world had ever repelled its conquest. Then they came to Earth. It was a mere Class 3 civilization as per the Imperial Codex. Primitive. Confined to a single solar system. No faster-than-light travel. No known alliances. An easy target. Or so they thought. The arrival. The first signs of the invasion came in the form of shimmering distortions in the sky, rips in space-time as the Imperial fleet emerged from hyperspace. They came in formation, black, angular warships blotting out the stars, their massive forms exuding an aura of invincibility. Orbital scans confirmed what the Empire had expected: rudimentary satellites, primitive space stations, and an atmosphere teeming with electromagnetic noise from outdated technology. Admiral Varro of the Imperial Conquest Fleet stood aboard the bridge of the dreadnought Imperius Maxima, arms crossed as he gazed at the blue-green world below. Pathetic, he mused. They haven't even colonized their own moon properly. This will be over within a cycle. The Phantom awakens. Hidden beneath the waves of the Pacific Ocean, deep within the Mariana Trench, a structure stirred to life. The Celestial Vanguard, Earth's last, greatest secret, activated for the first time in nearly a century. Built in the final years of a forgotten war, the Vanguard was Earth's only true superweapon. A mobile, stealth-capable battle carrier, designed for deep space warfare despite never having left the planet. Constructed in absolute secrecy by a coalition of rogue scientists and military engineers, its very existence had been buried by history, known only to a select few. As the Imperial fleet descended, the command core of the Vanguard flickered online. Automated systems detected the presence of hostile spacecraft in Earth's orbit. Dormant railguns hummed as they warmed up. The ancient AI, designated Sentinel, calculated the odds of survival. Slim. But not impossible. First strike. From the depths of the ocean, the Celestial Vanguard ascended, breaking through the waves in a column of water and steam. To the untrained eye, it would have appeared as a rising island, until the first missile silos opened and a barrage of kinetic rounds shot into the sky at impossible speeds. Orbital defense systems, designed over a century ago and thought obsolete, activated with deadly precision. Railgun slugs, accelerated to near-relativistic speeds, punched through the hulls of unsuspecting Imperial warships before their shields could respond. Admiral Varro's confidence wavered as alarms blared across his dreadnought. Impossible. Where did they get this technology? War on two fronts. The Vanguard was powerful, but one ship alone could not win a war. Earth's militaries, fragmented and unprepared for a spaceborne invasion, scrambled to respond. Nations set aside their differences as fighter jets engaged alien strike craft in high-altitude dogfights. Experimental railguns and hidden orbital platforms, projects deemed too costly or unnecessary, were suddenly Earth's best hope. Meanwhile, Sentinel executed its next move: hacking. Using Earth's vast interconnected networks, it launched a cyber warfare assault against the Empire's fleet, disrupting communications and turning their own targeting systems against them. Chaos erupted as Imperial ships fired upon one another, unable to distinguish friend from foe. Varro clenched his fists. This was no ordinary conquest. The turning tide. With each passing hour, Earth's defenders adapted. Human ingenuity, unpredictable and reckless, became their greatest weapon. Engineers repurposed satellites as kinetic bombardment weapons, repelling Imperial troop landings with makeshift orbital strikes. Civilian hackers assisted Sentinel, feeding false data into the enemy's systems, while guerrilla forces on the ground sabotaged Imperial drop zones. The Celestial Vanguard, still cloaked in its advanced stealth field, moved like a ghost through the enemy fleet, striking from the shadows and vanishing before retaliation could land. Each victory emboldened Earth's defenders. What was supposed to be an effortless invasion turned into a prolonged, humiliating battle for the Galactic Empire. The Emperor's wrath. News of Earth's resistance spread through the Imperial ranks like wildfire. For the first time in history, a primitive world had not only resisted conquest but had inflicted heavy losses on an empire spanning thousands of star systems. The Emperor himself took notice. Orders were given. A second, larger wave was dispatched. If Earth refused to surrender, it would be erased. But humanity had no intention of surrendering. The final stand. As a new fleet loomed on the edge of the solar system, Sentinel calculated its last desperate gambit. It transmitted a final message across all human and Imperial channels. We are Earth. We are the Unbroken. And we will show you what it means to fight for home. The battle was far from over, but one thing was clear. Earth was no longer just a primitive world. It was a battlefield. And the Celestial Vanguard was its sword. The first encounter. Imperial scouts entered the Sol system, expecting nothing more than an unguarded rock teeming with weak, unsuspecting creatures. Yet, from the moment they breached the heliosphere, something felt wrong. Their signals distorted. Their ship's sensors flickered. Some never transmitted back. Then it appeared. A ship unlike anything recorded in Imperial archives. A vessel so vast it dwarfed even the Empire's most formidable dreadnoughts. And yet it had never been detected before. No intelligence reports had mentioned such a construct. No pre-invasion analysis hinted at its existence. The Celestial Vanguard. A shadow in the void. It was not simply dark, it was void itself. A seamless blend of metal and abyss, it absorbed light instead of reflecting it. Sensors struggled to define its boundaries, fluctuating wildly between readings. One moment, it registered as a colossal warship bristling with weaponry. The next, it barely existed at all. Imperial Admiral Varric Till, commanding the Dominus Wraith, the spearhead of the invasion fleet, observed the anomaly with mild amusement. A single ship? Is this the best they have? His officers shared his confidence. The Empire had crushed entire planetary defense networks with ease. What difference could one enigmatic vessel make? Till ordered an opening salvo. Beams of energy lanced through space. Plasma torpedoes screamed toward their target. Kinetic railgun slugs tore through the void. None reached the Celestial Vanguard. Every projectile, every blast, every measure of destruction simply vanished upon contact. Some seemed to dissolve into nothingness. Others ricocheted at impossible angles. A few were outright absorbed, their energy swallowed by the carrier's hull as if feeding an insatiable hunger. The Imperial fleet hesitated. They had faced planetary shields, energy barriers, even space-time distortions before. But this was different. There was no resistance, no countermeasure they could recognize. Only a negation. Then the Vanguard retaliated. A silent pulse rippled outward. No fire, no flash, no explosion. Just a ripple in the very fabric of space. The closest ships disintegrated instantly, their forms unraveling into fine dust before their crews could even scream. Alarms blared across the Dominus Wraith. Officers shouted conflicting reports. Till clenched his fists, staring at the impossible readings. This wasn't warfare. This was erasure. The fleet scrambled to retreat. Engines flared, warp drive spun up. But the Celestial Vanguard had already decided their fate. Another pulse, and entire squadrons blinked out of existence, erased from reality as if they had never been. Till's mind raced. Was this ship an artificial intelligence beyond comprehension? A relic of an ancient race? Or something more eldritch, a force of the cosmos itself? The Empire prided itself on dominance and technological supremacy, but against this entity, they were children throwing stones at a black hole. The few surviving vessels limped away, engines burning at maximum capacity. No pursuit came. The Celestial Vanguard merely watched, its unreadable presence looming in the darkness. Till knew then that they had made a grave mistake. The Empire, vast and indomitable, had finally encountered something beyond its reckoning. The Celestial Vanguard was not defending Sol. It was warning them. And should they return, it would not be so merciful. The Empire's perspective. The Empire is a vast, technologically advanced civilization that has dominated space for centuries. It has expanded aggressively, conquering and assimilating weaker civilizations. Admiral Till, a seasoned and respected leader, commands a fleet that represents the pinnacle of the Empire's military might. The fleet's mission? To explore, or more likely, annex, a sector of space rumored to be rich in resources or strategically valuable. However, they have unknowingly trespassed into the domain of the Celestial Vanguard, a force beyond their comprehension. 2. The nature of the attack. What makes this counterattack so terrifying is its invisibility. The Empire's war doctrine relies on predictable conflicts, lasers, missiles, and physical force, but this is something else entirely. No weapons fire is detected. There are no explosions, no incoming projectiles. Every ship in range is neutralized at once. This isn't an isolated cyber attack or targeted EMP, it's total. Backup systems fail too. Normally, a fleet this advanced has redundancies, yet none of them work. This suggests that the Celestial Vanguard is using a completely different kind of technology, something so advanced that the Empire's scientists wouldn't even recognize it as an attack. 3. The psychological horror of the message. Just when the fleet is helpless, the message appears. It isn't broadcast through traditional means. It doesn't come from a radio signal, a subspace transmission, or any known method of communication. Yet everyone understands it instantly. This implies that it might be using something like telepathic projection, an omnipresent AI, or a fundamental law of reality that enforces understanding. The wording is simple but absolute. You are trespassing. Leave. The fact that it doesn't offer an ultimatum, a negotiation, or a second warning is terrifying. It speaks once and that is enough. The sheer authority in those words is enough to break even the most hardened of warlords. It suggests that this entity does not recognize the Empire's power as relevant, which, for an empire built on domination, is unprecedented and terrifying. 4. What is the Celestial Vanguard? The Celestial Vanguard could be any of the following. A hyper-advanced civilization. Perhaps they are an ancient race that has long since surpassed physical warfare. Their weapons may operate on principles beyond human comprehension, such as manipulating quantum reality or energy fields that control entropy itself. An AI or post-singularity entity. This could be an artificial intelligence so advanced that it views lesser civilizations the way humans view ants. It doesn't attack, it simply turns off anything it doesn't want in its territory. A guardian force. Maybe it isn't a single faction but a universal defense mechanism that automatically repels intruders. This could be a defense system left behind by an extinct civilization, still fulfilling its last command. A cosmic entity. What if this isn't technology at all? The Empire might have stumbled into the domain of something akin to a god, a being that enforces cosmic order without needing to explain itself. 5. Admiral Till's decision. At this point, Till has no options. He cannot fight. His fleet is disabled. He cannot communicate. The enemy is beyond understanding. He cannot ignore the warning. The power differential is too great. His instincts take over. Retreat is the only viable option. But this raises a crucial question. What happens next? 6. The aftermath. What does the Empire do? The Empire has never been challenged in this way. This event shakes its leadership to the core. Do they try to study the phenomenon? Scientists will attempt to analyze what happened, but will they even find anything? If the Celestial Vanguard operates on unknown principles, their research may lead to dead ends. Does the Empire acknowledge the warning? Arrogance and power often go hand in hand. Will the leaders of the Empire respect the message and stay away, or will they send more forces, believing the first failure was a fluke? What are the greater implications? If an empire built on conquest cannot conquer, does that mark the beginning of its decline? Will factions within the Empire start to question their invincibility? Admiral Till's decision to retreat might save his fleet, but it also creates a new mystery, one that could change the fate of the Empire forever. Conclusion: the power of the unknown. The true terror in the counterattack isn't the destruction of the Empire's fleet, it's the realization that the Empire is not the ultimate power. There are forces in the universe that do not recognize their authority, and that, more than anything, is what shakes them to their core. This event could be the beginning of a galactic paradigm shift, one where the Empire must reconsider its role in the cosmos, or risk destruction at the hands of something it can never hope to control. The retreat, the Empire's humiliation. After the Empire's fleet is crippled by the unseen power of the Celestial Vanguard, the first act is a humiliating retreat. The ships limping back from the Sol system represent the Empire's failure, a stark contrast to their usual ruthless triumphs. Admiral Till's internal struggle. Till, who has built his career on victories, is now struggling with the aftermath of the encounter. He feels the weight of his disgrace and must consider the consequences of his next moves. The Empire's military might. The fleet was the pinnacle of military power, and yet it was rendered utterly helpless. This has never happened before in the history of the Empire. This defeat marks the first time an enemy has not only successfully repelled an Empire invasion but has done so without firing a single shot. Till is forced to acknowledge the reality that this wasn't just a fluke, it wasn't an accidental glitch or a well-timed counterattack. The Celestial Vanguard's technology or power is beyond anything the Empire can understand. And this has nothing to do with tactics or weapons, it's about who or what is behind it. The fleets struggle. As the fleet retreats, they are left stranded in the cold depths of space. Stranded ships. Many of the ships in the fleet are severely damaged. Systems are down, power is fluctuating, and crew members are scrambling to make repairs while maintaining basic life support. The silence of space. For the first time in a long while, the Empire's mighty fleet is without the familiar hum of engines, the command chatter over comms, and the steady flow of supplies and reports. Instead, they are isolated, just a few hundred ships scattered across light years of empty space. The magnitude of the defeat becomes apparent. Ships that were once feared throughout the galaxy are now powerless, drifting in space like floating corpses. These once proud symbols of the Empire's strength are now mere reminders of how fragile power can be in the face of the unknown. Admiral Till's reflection, Earth's true nature. While the fleet is regaining power, Admiral Till retreats into private reflection, haunted by the events that have unfolded. The anomaly of Earth. Before the confrontation, Earth was considered a backwater planet, a place of little significance in the grand scheme of galactic politics. But after their encounter with the Celestial Vanguard, Till begins to see Earth in a new light. What was once dismissed as a primitive world is suddenly perceived as something far more significant. The graveyard of civilizations. In his mind, the Earth system is now becoming a trap, a place where countless civilizations before the Empire have been drawn in, only to face extinction or submission. Perhaps Earth is the site of an ancient, cosmic culling ground, where lesser species are eradicated by the Celestial Vanguard or other unknown forces. The Celestial Vanguard's role in this becomes clearer. It isn't just defending Earth, it may be the last line of defense, a force placed there to protect something far more important than Earth itself. It could be an entity, a civilization, or a cosmic phenomenon that ensures Earth remains untouched by foreign hands. Uncovering the Celestial Vanguard. Till's analysis leads him to consider the Celestial Vanguard's role more deeply. He starts questioning the nature of the force that repelled them. An ancient civilization. Could the Celestial Vanguard be the remnants of an ancient civilization that once spanned the stars? Their technology could have been so advanced that it no longer adheres to any known laws of science. A cosmic protector. Alternatively, Till begins to think of the Vanguard as something much older and more abstract. Perhaps an extraterrestrial intelligence tasked with guarding a galactic relic or an ancient stargate that links Earth to other, more powerful regions of the universe. A sentient defense system. The Celestial Vanguard could also be a highly intelligent AI system, designed to protect Earth from external threats. It could be constantly monitoring galactic traffic and identifying any ships that enter its jurisdiction, neutralizing them to ensure no one disturbs the balance. The repercussions across the Empire. As the fleet limps back to the Empire's homeworld, the news of the defeat spreads like wildfire. Political fallout. The Emperor and other high-ranking officials are shocked by the loss. There is an immediate investigation into the nature of the attack, with different factions of the Empire blaming one another for the failure. Some military leaders argue that the fleet wasn't prepared for a threat like the Celestial Vanguard, while others point to a lack of intelligence. Theological implications. For many in the Empire, this defeat shakes their belief in their divine right to rule the galaxy. Some religious factions might start to question if the Celestial Vanguard represents some higher power or cosmic force. Could this defeat signal the end of the Empire's dominance in the galaxy? The scientific community's response. Scientists are baffled by the phenomenon. They begin to speculate that the Celestial Vanguard is using unknown physics to disable their ships. Some may argue that the Vanguard isn't a being at all but an artifact from an ancient galactic war, meant to prevent anyone from ever encroaching upon Earth. The Empire's new mission. The retreat forces the Empire to reconsider its next steps. Will they launch another invasion? Do they have the resources to challenge the Celestial Vanguard again? Or will they attempt a diplomatic solution, an approach they've never truly entertained before? Imperial pride versus survival. Till and other military leaders must weigh the Empire's pride against its survival instincts. For the first time, they must acknowledge that they may not be the ultimate power in the universe. A new strategy. Some argue that it's not just about military force anymore. They must understand the Celestial Vanguard and Earth before making another move. They must seek out ancient knowledge, alliances, and technology to counter this threat. The secrets of Earth. As Till digs deeper into Earth's past, he uncovers evidence of previous failed invasions. Historical records. Ancient civilizations that once attempted to conquer Earth are now forgotten. But their stories are encoded in the debris left behind, wreckage of ships, artifacts, and ruins scattered throughout the galaxy, all indicating that Earth has been a target for centuries. The true purpose of Earth. Earth may not be a random planet in the universe, it could be the final resting place of ancient beings, a gateway to some lost technology, or the key to unlocking a cosmic riddle that spans galaxies. The Empire's retreat, a humiliating defeat. The once invincible Empire, known for its technological prowess and military might, had met its match in the most unexpected way. What began as a seemingly straightforward mission to claim new territories in the Sol system quickly turned into a devastating loss. The Empire's mightiest fleet, led by Admiral Till, had approached Earth with the arrogance typical of the Empire's expansionist mindset, believing the planet to be just another insignificant backwater world ripe for conquest. The fleet entered the Sol system with all the confidence that came from centuries of dominance across the galaxy. However, within moments of arriving, they were struck by an unseen force that rendered their ships completely powerless. No weapons were fired. No enemy forces were visible. Yet, one by one, every ship in the fleet was disabled, leaving the once mighty warships floating helplessly in space. The Imperial fleet was not prepared for this type of warfare. The technology that had sustained them for centuries, from advanced shields to powerful engines, failed with no explanation. Even the backup systems, the last line of defense in moments of crisis, fell victim to this strange force. It wasn't an EMP. It wasn't a virus. It wasn't any technology the Empire had ever encountered. The fleet was helpless, adrift in space, vulnerable. The commander of this fleet, Admiral Till, was a seasoned officer with a reputation for cold precision and calculated victories. He had faced countless challenges before, but none like this. The inexplicable loss of control over his fleet sent waves of shock and confusion through him and his crew. All of them, in an instant, realized that something far beyond their understanding had crippled their ships. But then came the message, the cryptic words that appeared on their holoscreens. "You are trespassing. Leave." It wasn't a request. It was a command. It was spoken with such absolute authority that it left the admiral and his entire crew shaken to the core. There was no source to the transmission. No way to trace it. No language barrier. Everyone on the ship understood it instantly. This was no ordinary warning. This was a declaration. Admiral Till's response was instinctive: retreat. He was no fool. The Empire was known for its arrogance, but even Till knew that no victory could be won against an adversary who wielded such overwhelming power. The fleet turned its engines back toward the outer reaches of the system, and they limped away in shame. Regrouping, the fleet struggle. As the fleet retreated from the Sol system, the damage to the ships became even more apparent. The once pristine vessels of the Imperial fleet now floated in space like drifting ruins. Systems were down, life support was unreliable, and repairs were slow and tedious. The once mighty ships, symbols of the Empire's strength, were now helpless in the vast emptiness of space. 4 hours, the fleet remained adrift, too far from Earth for any immediate assistance. The soldiers aboard, once accustomed to their superiority, now faced the terrifying reality that they were vulnerable. They had no answers, no explanation for the force that had incapacitated them. All they knew was that they had been stopped by something far more powerful and enigmatic than anything the Empire had ever encountered. While many of the lower-ranking officers and crew scrambled to make emergency repairs, Admiral Till sat in silence, reflecting on the encounter. He couldn't shake the eerie sensation that the encounter with the Celestial Vanguard, the mysterious force that had crippled them, was not an isolated incident but part of a much larger, more terrifying reality. The unraveling truth: Earth as a trap. Admiral Till had spent his entire career fighting wars and conquering systems. He had seen countless worlds fall to the might of the Empire. Earth, in his mind, had been no different. It was supposed to be a simple conquest, a primitive world that would bend under the Empire's might. Yet the encounter with the Celestial Vanguard had turned everything he thought he knew about the galaxy upside down. In the hours after their retreat, Till could no longer see Earth as a backwater planet. Earth was not just another piece of land in the vast expanse of the galaxy. It was a trap. A graveyard of civilizations that had dared to invade before. The Celestial Vanguard, whatever it was, wasn't just defending Earth. It was guarding it, protecting it from invaders who dared to enter its domain. It had stood as an unyielding sentinel, guarding against those who sought to conquer, enslave, or exploit the planet. And now the Empire had fallen victim to its vigilance. Till began to see the Sol system through a new lens. Earth was more than just a planet, it was a cosmic barrier, a last line of defense against anyone who dared to cross into this part of the galaxy. The Celestial Vanguard wasn't just a force, it was the keeper of an ancient legacy, ensuring that Earth would remain untouched by outside powers. The more Till thought about it, the clearer it became. Earth had been deliberately hidden from the Empire's grasp, its significance buried under layers of cosmic defenses. And the Celestial Vanguard, whatever it was the force tasked with ensuring that no one could ever conquer Earth. The Celestial Vanguard, an ancient power. In the quiet hours of reflection, Till came to a realization about the Celestial Vanguard. It wasn't just an advanced military force or a random protector of Earth. It was something much older, much more powerful, and far more ancient than anything the Empire had encountered. The Celestial Vanguard could be an ancient alien civilization, one that had established Earth as a sacred ground long before the Empire's rise. Perhaps Earth was a hub of ancient technology, a place where powerful artifacts or knowledge were kept hidden, waiting for the right moment to be uncovered. Alternatively, the Celestial Vanguard could be an entity, an AI or sentient defense system, created by a long-lost civilization to safeguard Earth. It could have been designed to protect the planet from any force that would dare to disrupt its equilibrium, perhaps acting as a cosmic enforcer of a universal order. Till couldn't dismiss the idea that Earth had some greater cosmic significance, that the planet itself was more than a simple world. The Celestial Vanguard's actions had made that clear. It wasn't just protecting Earth, it was preserving the balance of something far larger than any empire or galactic force. The aftermath, the Empire's realization. As the fleet regrouped and power was restored to their ships, the news of the catastrophic defeat spread quickly throughout the Empire. The loss of the fleet was unprecedented. The Empire had never been humiliated in such a way. For the first time in its history, it had been forced to retreat. Retreat not because of military tactics or lack of resources, but because of a mysterious force that rendered their entire fleet powerless. The imperial leaders, accustomed to infallibility, were shaken. There were discussions, debates, and urgent meetings about what to do next. The scientific community was called in to investigate what had happened, but they were just as baffled as the military. No one had any answers. How could something so powerful exist, and why was it guarding Earth? For the first time, the Empire had to confront the reality that it was not the most powerful force in the universe. There were forces beyond their comprehension, forces that could undo everything the Empire had built in an instant. Earth's significance, a cosmic warning. Till's reflections led him to a chilling conclusion. Earth was no mere backwater planet. It was a sacred place, a site of unimaginable importance. Whoever or whatever the Celestial Vanguard was, it was guarding something that could not be touched. Not by the Empire, not by any other civilization. Earth was a trap, a place where civilizations had come before the Empire, and none had left unscathed. The Celestial Vanguard wasn't just a defender, it was a warning to those who dared to cross into Earth's orbit. The Vanguard had ensured that Earth remained untouched by galactic conquerors, and it would continue to do so for eternity. Till knew now that the Empire's ambitions to conquer Earth were futile. The planet was beyond their reach, and the Celestial Vanguard would never allow anyone to claim it. The fleet might have escaped for now, but the question remained. Would the Empire continue its pursuit of Earth, or would it respect the silent warning issued by the Celestial Vanguard? Conclusion: the Empire's new era. Admiral Till's retreat marked the beginning of a new era for the Empire. The events of that day had shattered the Empire's perception of the universe. No longer was it the supreme power. No longer could it impose its will upon every corner of the galaxy. The Celestial Vanguard had shown them that there were forces far greater than their military might, forces that could not be challenged or defeated. The Empire would have to reconsider its strategy, not just with Earth but with the entire galaxy. The realization that there were entities, civilizations, and powers beyond their reach would change the way they approached conquest, diplomacy, and war. For Admiral Till, the humbling defeat had shown him that even the most powerful empire could be brought to its knees. The question now was not whether the Empire would attempt to reclaim Earth, but how it would adjust to the new, terrifying reality of a galaxy filled with unknown forces far more powerful than anything they had ever known. A changed empire. Admiral Till's decision will shape the future of the Empire. He must reconcile the loss of the fleet with the reality that Earth and its defenders are far more than just a threat to be eliminated. They may be the guardian of something much more important. This is not just a tale of a single defeat, it's the beginning of a galactic shift, where the Empire must come to terms with forces beyond its control. Whether they choose to engage with the Celestial Vanguard or bow to its power, they will never view Earth or the universe itself the same way again. The Imperial Debate. The echoes of defeat. In the dark recesses of space, aboard the towering command ship of the Galactic Empire, an air of unease filled the halls. The sound of polished boots echoed across the metal floors as the Emperor's warlords, some of the most feared leaders in the galaxy, filed into the Grand Chamber. The defeat at Earth had rattled them all. No one had expected such resistance. For generations, the Empire had crushed civilizations, each one succumbing to their might. They came, they conquered, and they left their mark on countless worlds. Earth, however, had thrown everything they had at the Empire's war machine, and survived. The Emperor, a towering figure in gold and obsidian armor, sat in the center of the room, a brooding presence. His voice, when it spoke, was like a booming thunderclap. "Report," he commanded, his voice cold and detached. One by one, the warlords stepped forward, their faces marked by worry and disbelief. "We've gathered intelligence," said General Varnek, a seasoned commander with gray streaks in his otherwise dark hair. "But it doesn't add up. The humans, they're not just some primitive race. They resisted us with tactics we've never encountered. We lost more ships than we care to admit." Another warlord, Lord Torek, leaned forward, his sharp gaze cutting through the tension in the room. "The question is, how? Earth isn't part of the galactic network. They shouldn't have access to technology beyond their means. And yet they did," the Emperor interrupted. "Their knowledge exceeds what we thought possible." The room fell silent. All knew that Earth had been nothing more than a backwater planet for centuries, ignored and dismissed by the Empire. Now, in the wake of the failed invasion, they were beginning to wonder whether Earth held secrets far beyond what anyone could have imagined. The forgotten myths. As the High Council convened in a separate chamber, their debate was no less heated. They pored over ancient records, long dismissed as mere myths and tales. In the musty halls of the Imperial Archives, scholars pored over texts from forgotten civilizations, seeking anything that could explain Earth's unexpected resistance. Ancient myths spoke of a civilization, lost to time, whose knowledge had been sealed away in a distant corner of the galaxy. The stories were vague, almost like fairy tales, of beings who had once ruled the galaxy before retreating into self-imposed exile. They were said to have possessed an unrivaled understanding of the cosmos, of technologies far beyond anything the Empire had ever encountered. The myth described them as the Sealed Ones, beings who could obliterate entire fleets with a single thought, who had vanished when their need was done. Their knowledge was rumored to be locked away, protected by powerful mechanisms, and only to be unlocked when the galaxy was threatened. No one had believed these stories for centuries. After all, the Empire's reach was vast, and they had discovered every corner of the galaxy. Or so they thought. Now, scholars were left to wonder, had Earth's unexpected resistance been orchestrated by these long-lost beings? Were they somehow tied to Earth's own survival? Professor Kellen, a leading scholar on galactic history, studied the fragments of ancient records, his face furrowed in thought. The tales describe a civilization that emerged when the galaxy was threatened. Could it be that they are watching us now? Could Earth be their proxy? A house divided. Back in the Emperor's war room, tensions were high. The warlords had gathered once again to discuss their next move. But this time there was a rift among them. Some still wanted to strike Earth immediately, while others, including the Emperor himself, felt more cautious. "Retaliation is necessary," Lord Draxer said, his voice laced with fury. "We cannot allow a single world to defy us. We must crush them and send a message to the galaxy." The debate was intense. The Emperor remained silent, his mind a labyrinth of conflicting thoughts. For the first time in millennia, the Empire was unsure of its next move. This was uncharted territory. Every instinct told him to strike, yet something about Earth's resistance felt like more than just luck. The Emperor's dilemma. The Emperor's private chambers were dimly lit, the walls lined with the faint hum of machinery and ancient relics. He stood before a holographic map of the galaxy, his hand tracing the borders of the Empire's reach. The Empire had grown vast, its fleets spread across the stars. But now, a lone planet stood out, a speck of defiance in an otherwise subjugated galaxy. His mind drifted to the ancient myths of the Sealed Ones. Could it be true? Was Earth somehow tied to their ancient power? His most trusted advisor, High Commander Sorth, stood by his side. "You must make a choice, my Emperor. If we do not strike now, the galaxy will question our strength." The Emperor's gaze hardened. "I know, but we cannot afford to underestimate Earth. What if they are part of something greater? We risk more than just the loss of a world. We risk awakening something that could undo the empire itself. Sorth raised an eyebrow. Then we should tread carefully, as you said, but we cannot show weakness. Earth must be brought to heel. The path forward. As the High Council and warlords continued to argue, the Emperor took a rare moment of solitude, standing alone on the observation deck of his command ship. He gazed out at the stars, pondering the ancient records and the fear that had begun to take root within him. For the first time in his long reign, the Emperor was uncertain. Perhaps the time has come to consider a new way forward. He murmured to himself. Not through force but through understanding. The decision was not easy. The Empire had never been known for diplomacy or restraint. Yet, the Emperor recognized that Earth and whatever force had rallied behind it represented an unknown threat, one that could shape the future of the galaxy in ways no one had predicted. The silence of the Empire. The Emperor's decision came as a shock to the warlords. No immediate retaliation. No declaration of war. The Empire would pull back from Earth, for now. Instead, they would send a small team of diplomats and researchers to gather information, to learn what Earth was hiding. As the Empire's fleets withdrew from Earth's orbit, the message was clear. The Empire was not done, but they were in no hurry. They would wait. The people of Earth, unaware of the true scope of the danger they faced, continued their lives. But in the deep recesses of the galaxy, in the quiet corners where ancient knowledge slumbered, the stage was set for a conflict of unprecedented scale. The waiting game. Weeks turned into months, and the Empire's fleet remained stationed far from Earth, watching, waiting. The Emperor's warlords, once eager for conflict, now found themselves in a strange, uncomfortable peace. As the galaxy continued its routine, the whispers of a new dawn began to grow. For the first time in a long while, the future seemed uncertain. Would Earth, with its strange knowledge and unexpected strength, prove to be the savior of the galaxy, or its greatest downfall? And so the imperial debate continued. Would the Empire strike again? Or would Earth's secrets remain hidden for a little while longer? The technician and commander. The scene begins with a technician monitoring the aftermath of the Imperial ships retreating beyond Earth's solar system. The technician's question, "Think they'll be back?" suggests that the Empire's retreat was not a complete surprise. They are familiar with the pattern of aggression and retreat from the Empire, which implies Earth has experienced similar conflicts in the past. The commander's reply, "They always come back," indicates a long-standing history of repeated invasions or threats from external forces, but each time Earth manages to fend them off. This suggests Earth's resilience or its readiness to face recurring threats, perhaps through mechanisms or technologies that remain largely hidden from the outside world. The Celestial Vanguard. The Celestial Vanguard is a mysterious object or presence that is in orbit around Earth. It's described as ghostly, and its origins are unknown, even to those on Earth. Some think it was built by the first starfarers, possibly an ancient, advanced civilization that existed long before humanity reached the stars. Others speculate that it may be a living entity feeding on the energy of those who attempt to attack Earth. This enigmatic presence, having existed long before humanity's arrival, raises questions about Earth's hidden history. Could the Celestial Vanguard be a relic from an ancient civilization that had the foresight to place it there as a protector of Earth? Or is it a sentient, self-aware being that defends Earth, potentially with powers far beyond human comprehension? It had done its duty. The phrase "it had done its duty" implies that the Celestial Vanguard is a guardian or force that acts only when needed. The fact that the Empire has retreated suggests that the Vanguard's intervention was successful in preventing further invasion or destruction. The phrase hints that the Vanguard is a quiet, powerful force that operates in the background, intervening only when necessary to preserve Earth. The unseen message. The final part is more cryptic and metaphysical. "We are watching" is a phrase that echoes through the void, seemingly from a source that is unseen and unheard by mortal ears. This could be interpreted as the Celestial Vanguard itself, or perhaps a larger cosmic force, communicating that it is aware of the ongoing events and will continue to watch over Earth. The idea of this message being unheard by mortal ears suggests that Earth's defense system or the guardianship of the Celestial Vanguard is not fully understood by humanity. The mysterious presence operates on a different, possibly higher plane of existence or communication, something beyond human detection or perception. The stars whispered in response. The final line, "and the stars whispered in response," hints at a greater cosmic connection between Earth, the Celestial Vanguard, and perhaps the broader universe. The stars, in this context, may symbolize a vast ancient network of knowledge, forces, or beings that are subtly connected to Earth's fate. This phrase gives a sense that Earth is not isolated but is part of a larger cosmic web where unseen forces are at play, and that the Celestial Vanguard, in its mysterious ways, is part of a greater, ongoing cosmic event. Overall themes. This passage presents Earth as a planet with a secret, ancient defense mechanism, possibly left by an advanced, long-lost civilization or created by a powerful, sentient entity. The Celestial Vanguard serves as both protector and sentinel, remaining dormant or silent unless provoked, yet always observing and waiting for the right moment to act. The repeated invasions by the Empire and the repeated retreat also suggest a cyclical nature of conflict, with Earth being watched over by forces beyond human understanding. The concept of Earth being watched, yet remaining unaware of the full extent of these protective forces, brings an air of mystery and tension to the narrative. It suggests that there is much more to Earth than meets the eye, and that Earth's survival may not be due to human ingenuity alone but is also a result of ancient, hidden powers that are watching, waiting, and guarding. The phrase "we are watching" emphasizes the notion that, while humanity may be unaware, there are forces at play that will protect the planet when necessary.